I would like to introduce Bertina, please. Come up as the moderator. Bertina is the CEO of 𝐸power and will be leading our next discussion, the future-proofing of tech talent, connecting diverse skills to the workforce needs. Gracias, Bertina. I'll let you introduce your panelists.
Well, what a fabulous audience and an outstanding event so far. I am thrilled to introduce my fellow panelists. Why don't you come on up and have a seat, and I will introduce you as we get started. It is really my honor today to be on the stage with really pillars of the IT community, longstanding and near term. And I'm going to first just jump in with a few words about each one of my colleagues here, and then we're going to dive into a topic that I know is on the minds of many people. First, Guillermo Diaz. Guillermo is the founder and CEO of 𝐶oNECTADO, which is an enterprise devoted to ensuring more members of the Hispanic community are represented in tech. And so far, in just a short 18 months, he's already attracted 25 learners, 500 now alumni, 2,000 getting in-demand certifications. And Guillermo says a lot of things that are very profound, but one that really touches me is let us move more people from being consumers of technology to creators, owners, and developers of technology. And I think there's a lot of wisdom there. Guillermo was the global CIO of Cisco for 20 years. And he served our country for 8 in the US Navy. We also have Solveig Nolasco. Solveig is the Associate Vice President for IT Risk and Controls at Bank of America, where she's been for 6 years. Solveig found her way to technology after a couple of years working in family and children's services at the Dominican Women's Health Network here in New York City. After 2 years of that work, realized she really had a passion for technology. And through a friend, learned about the program at 𝐸power, where she not only got her certifications, A+ certifications, learned about IT infrastructure, worked here at Citi as an intern, and then decided to return to get more accelerated credentials in cybersecurity, which led her to Bank of America. And we're just really thrilled to have Solveig with us today. And then finally, we've got Rick Pina. Rick has quite the extraordinary career. He spent 25 years in the US Army and was the Army's very first Chief Technology Officer. An extraordinary experience that then led him to Worldwide Technology, where he served in senior roles, leading government contracting for nearly a decade, but is now the COO and Chief Revenue Officer of Inspired Solutions, a leading technology integration solutions provider and innovator. So we've got a range of experiences, talent, and leadership on this stage to tackle this topic of connecting diverse skills to workforce needs in a rapidly changing labor market. And just to set the context, a couple of things that I'll say. So, the news is very conflicting at the moment. On the one hand, you hear there's been 30,000 people laid off in tech since the beginning of January. And publications as far-ranging as Forbes and Fortune and New York Times has reported on the death of tech jobs. AI is going to take all of these jobs. I'm seeing some heads nodding. Yet at the same time, we see from the US Bureau of Labor Statistics and reports from the likes of McKinsey, tech jobs are going to grow at an accelerated pace over the next decade. That there will be more tech jobs created and more jobs in demand in the next 10 years as there ever has been. So what gives? How do we resolve these differences? And to start with, I'm going to open with a question. And I think, Guillermo, let's start with you. What do you see as the demand for tech talent, whether at the entry level, right? Because if we think about future-proofing tech talent, it's not, just for those starting out. It's for all of us anywhere in our career. What do you see as the demand and what has changed in the past 1 to 2 years?
Yeah, so I've had I guess the opportunity to see Web 1, Web 2, Web 3, AI. So I've seen sort of like the gamut, and it's sort of ebbs and flows. But I think the reality is you can't open up your whatever it is you read without seeing two letters, A and I, right? And the reality is these are the skills that you really have to start to understand. Now, does that mean, what you didn't finish the sentence with is like there's a lot of layoffs that have happened, right? The Anthropic CEO says that entry-level jobs are going to be eliminated, and yet you have other studies that show, well, wait, we went and laid off a whole bunch of people, and now our business has started to crash. Because it's like, there's a knee-jerk reaction to say AI is going to solve all of our problems. It's like, but there's still this need to go, how do you bridge us from here to there? What are the skills? Yes, I've been in IT my whole life. I'm 17 years old. And I've seen the shift, but it's you have to take what your base sort of knowledge is and start applying these capabilities. AI, whoever doesn't know AI in this room, you better get on it, right? Whoever's not playing with the tools, you better get on it, because those are the kinds of skills that you're going to need to begin to future-proof yourself. That doesn't mean that whatever you've learned to this point hasn't gone away. That's your base. But you need to create this arsenal, this toolkit, because if you don't, someone else is going to take that job. And so these skills are so important right now, and the tools are making the jobs that you're doing today more equalized. So you have to continue to rise up your own skill set, right?
I want to move to Rick, because I think, this notion of, hey, if you don't know AI right now, well, you better get on the bandwagon. You're working with a whole lot of military contractors, the Defense Department. What are you seeing from your vantage point?
Well, on the military contracting side or government contracting side, I'll just be very pragmatic. At the end of the day, what they're looking for is talent, but they're also looking for talent at a certain price. So for you to say entry-level jobs are going away, that means that I'm going to be able to bid something that's not entry-level. And I haven't seen that change, right? So at the end of the day, they still want entry-level prices, but what they want is a different perspective on entry-level. So it's not that you're entry-level, you're coming in, and we expect you to know nothing. Actually, what we expect is for you to be prepared to learn everything. So now you're coming in with there's an expectation that an entry level today is a digital native, right? So you may still get paid entry level because that's not changing. And I haven't seen that change, and I don't expect that to change anytime soon, especially not from a government contracting perspective. There are levels of rates, there are levels of compensation, and they still expect the majority of the work to be done at a certain level. Are there some allowances for a data scientist or a cybersecurity engineer? Of course. But at the entry level, what the expectation is that somebody's going to come in and all the things that, especially within this community, that most of us were trained up in at home, like with a tireless work ethic, right? With an EQ that exceeds most people's EQ, right? Because like my mother went to the 8th grade. She has an 8th grade education. She's one of 10 siblings, and only 2 of them made it to the 8th grade. Most of them made it to the 6th grade. but my mother has a PhD in EQ, right? She knows how to, so she trained me, like, it was just, the way that I was raised as a Dominican kid, like, mira, el cumpleaños, this person, hay que llamarla, you got to do this, you have to do that. And so just how you get along with people, that is very critical. So if you really want to be prepared for the workforce, you're going to have to bring some skills that are not just technology skills, and nothing can beat your attitude, right? You're going to come in with a tireless work ethic. You come in ready to learn everything. You might get paid entry level, but the expectations are completely different today.
I want to move to Solveig because I think this conversation around entry-level talent is really important. And so often what I hear is, oh, I need all these entry-level people, but they've got to have 3 years of experience, right? So Solveig, you had the benefit of an internship at Citi before you landed this position at Bank of America. But when you joined B of A, can you just talk a little bit about what was that onboarding like? What is it that you felt helped make you successful as you arrived as so-called entry-level talent, right? But very quickly over 6 years, developed your career, landed promotions. How did that work for you?
For me, what worked were, I had mentors since the very beginning. My manager, he was very enthusiastic about me coming over and making sure that I had someone that I could ask a bunch of questions. First, it was him. Then there was somebody else that was set just for me because I had a lot of questions. I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I was very new to technology. On every step of my career, I have had a mentor. I have my previous manager. I call him if I have questions about, hey, I need to make this move about this, this position that I want. And he says, you know what? You need to go for it. Even if it's just for the experience, go for it. Having a mentor answer the questions that you have doubts about is extremely important, especially when you are at the very beginning of your career. Having those people gave me the confidence that I needed when I didn't have any, especially at the beginning.
I just want to take a moment here and acknowledge that not only has Solveig asked for mentorship.
I have.
You've asked for mentorship. You've also asked for what you want.
100%. At my very first, I started with a program. It's called Tech Pathways. Bank of America has this program. It partners with {N}power, and it is designed to teach you from the very beginning anything you want to learn. I was set up in a developer team, and I told my manager, I was like, for the first, I think 3 to 4 months, I was learning how to develop, and I told him, I don't think this is for me. I see what it does, but I don't like doing it. And he said, well, so what do you want to do? And to his point, I was very scared to tell him. I didn't want to tell him. I like infrastructure. I like solving problems, but I like solving problems differently, not coding or developing. And I told him I want to go into the infrastructure team. I want to go and do vulnerabilities remediation. And he said, I'll put you in contact with them. I'll make the introductions. If they have the space, they will take you in. And they took me in. I started making follow-ups. It was could you please follow up and see if this person has completed the work? Has it been done correctly? And my mentor, who moved with me to the new team, he would check that everything was done correctly. After, I believe, about a year of learning and doing follow-ups, the person who left the team, I had already learned everything. And, well, not everything, but everything that I could learn in that position. And eventually, I got his job. I started, if I had not asked for that very first, if I had not asked and said, hey, I actually don't like what I'm doing right now, I don't feel like this is something I can do forever, I would have not gotten that second opportunity. And every opportunity that I have gotten has been by me asking, can I please do this because I want to learn more. So mentors are extremely important.
This is such, I know we're going to go off script. Okay? We're just going to do that.
Please.
Because this is such an important, for those of you in this audience, this is such an important point. And when we talk about future-proofing tech skills, tech talent, this is about future-proofing talent. This is about future-proofing yourself. And this notion that, you know, a lot of times in our culture, we tend to, no, maybe, I don't know if I want to ask that question, and I don't know, I don't want to, no, mijo, don't burn the bridge, don't rock the boat, right? No, mija, stay in your lane, right? Yeah. It's like, no, hell no, don't stay in your lane.
No, never.
And, you know, and as you know the leaders that I grew up under, right? John Chambers and Rebecca Jacoby and these people. John Chambers, in my opinion, best CEO ever. But I still remember this conversation and luckily, you know, it was a dinner after a wine or two. It was like, so what do you want to do? What do you want to do, Guillermo? And it's like, well, I want to be you.
That takes a lot of courage.
Not literally you, but I want to be you. I want to sit in that chair. And again, I had one or two wines, so, and I said, are you ready? And it said, let's go. And you know, then they took me along, and I became the CIO at Cisco. And I still remember that call when they called me up and said, are you ready? And I didn't really know the other side of that. I kind of knew, but I didn't know what the answer was going to be. And I said, are you ready? I said, gee, are you ready? Are you ready? We're going to ask you one more time, are you ready? Yes, I'm ready. Then we're ready to tell you you're the CIO at Cisco.
What a great story. And what a great story of just the power of confidence and believing in what you can do. And in so many ways, this connects to the idea, Rick, that you brought just around EQ, right? Because EQ also is what you feel about yourself.
Yeah. If I could just piggyback off of what G said, and I know we have a script, but yeah.
No, this is even better.
I'll just piggyback off of that. So I've had, like G, tremendous mentors. So I grew up in the U.S. Army Signal Regiment, and had all these great mentors, and most of the leaders that I had just wound up being the leaders of the Signal Regiment. Most of them became 2- and 3-star generals and all that. But I remember I was sitting down with one, and I was a warrant officer. And so there's in the Army, there's an enlisted path where you go from private to sergeant major. Then there's a commissioned officer path where you go from lieutenant to general. And then in the middle, there's these engineers, and I was in that middle. And I sat down, one of my mentors early, he said, well, Rick, I don't know what to tell you. He said, I know how to mentor like the enlisted, you know, all the gates and all the classes they have to go to. I could tell you how a lieutenant has to become a colonel and all the classes and at what gates, and when you're a major, you need to get selected for this, and lieutenant colonel, you need to go to this class and whatever. But I don't know what to do with you guys in the middle. So is there anything laid out? And at the time, there was nothing that really kind of mapped out our career path. And so then he said, you're going to have to figure it out. And I went back and I said, you know what, since there's nothing saying what I'm supposed to do, then there's nothing holding me back, right? So I'm gonna map out my own career. And my mentors helped me, of course, but I basically became my own career manager, right? In the military, they have these career managers, and so those people never assigned me. My mentors, like I worked with them and I told them where I was going. I never let anybody dictate my career. I had to take ownership myself.
So these are extraordinary stories of managing your career. And I want to take that and pivot to a slightly different direction, which you all are leaders in what you do and have experienced leadership in many different capacities. What advice would you have for people who are mid-level senior management coming up the ranks in such a fast-changing environment? Like, we're talking technology moving faster than ever, but also an uncertain economic climate, right? As you think about managing all the variables and the risk management associated with that, how have you thought about in your own career in this moment, what leadership strategies, what tools you lean on to think about your own business, but also to develop the talent that you're working with and around?
All right, well, I'll start. So from a leadership perspective, you know, the power of delegation is important, right? So when you're talking about developing others, because you started off by saying like, you know, my career, but then what do I do to empower others? I have to, first of all, empower them to do whatever I'm expecting them to do. I want to make sure that everybody understands what I'm expecting of them, and so that they're empowered to operate when I'm, you know, disconnected. I want to create an environment and a culture where there is a centralized vision but decentralized execution, so things are not contingent upon me. And as I empower people to be somewhat autonomous, to take control of whatever we give them from a responsibility and accountability perspective, and then I come back and I periodically check to make sure that we're making progress, but also while giving them the leeway to do things the way that they think is best deemed, you know, for the advancement of the vision or the mission or the customer. I think that is what helped me, and that also will help people feel empowered, develop themselves as a leader. And then the last thing I'll say about leadership, those of you that are part of the EEP have probably heard me say this before, is I really focus on helping people understand that there's 3 directions to leadership. You lead down, you lead out, you lead up. And so leading down is me leading the people that get paid to do what I tell them to do. And if you can't lead down, then you probably can't lead. Because I mean, like, at the end of the day, these people get paid to do what you say, right? So you're just leading the people that are assigned to you, your direct reports. Leading out takes a certain level of more, leadership is more about disposition than it is about position. Leadership is more about your disposition than it is about your title. So when you lead out, now you have your peers coming to you, asking you to help them with their projects. Even though you don't have to do it, it takes a certain level of disposition to help them without taking credit for what you help them to do. And then lastly, leading up is the hardest one because it requires the most nuance, where you actually have to learn how to tell your boss what to say and basically get your boss to do what you want them to do, but you can't take credit for it, right? And so you have to be okay with that. And if you learn how to lead in those directions, you will always be in demand.
Well, I am writing down this quote: leadership is about disposition, not position. Yeah. That's a keeper. Guillermo, Solveig, anything you'd like to add?
Go ahead.
For me, personally, what has worked is when my manager gives me, he lets me do what I need to do. He opens the doors and says, go through it. I know you can do it. Giving that empowerment of, yes, I know that you don't know everything yet, but I know that you can make it. Being able to have that behind you adds a lot to what we start with. Having a good leader makes you a great employee, and they know that even if you start with very small knowledge, they know that you can go ahead and build up on that. And they're not afraid. They're not afraid that you will outgrow them. They're not afraid that you will one day leave them, because they believe that you can do it, and that's okay.
Excellent. Guillermo?
Yeah, so I just sort of like, for me, everything sort of follows the last thing. So for me, you know, just learning and going through my own journey, right? So I was blessed to be able to lead a large organization, which wasn't a large organization when we started, but when I left Cisco, I was managing, I had 7,000 people on my team, managing a budget of $2.3 billion, okay? So I decided to leave that and go to something that I'm gonna start from scratch, and, you know, but it's like, okay, how am I gonna do that? So, but someone's gonna do it, why not me? So my point is, why? Start with your why, and in this case, why not? Why not you? Why can't you do it? So you got to figure it out somehow. My team at Conectado is a team of less than 10 people, and they're actually all of them come from college, university. We brought them in, and they're leading. You know, I was in a call last week, and I was like, I can't even believe what I'm hearing. I was like, they're like, just move out of the way, dude. we have our project manager, and my wife who's sitting there, Yvonne, knows these people. Like Michael Diaz, no relation, just a great last name. Michael Diaz is the project manager of all of our major products. He was he was in a program at UC Berkeley called Changemaker. Changemaker works at a company, happens to be, we partnered with UC Berkeley. He worked at Conectado. He became an intern, then he became an employee, and now he's running the whole thing. And it's like, you know, dude, why not you, right?
And you've allowed for that growth.
And I told him, it's like, here's the parameters, and here's, you know, and I got your back.
I think what's so important about this conversation is that future-proofing our careers is just as much about the technical knowledge and skills and keeping all of that fresh and vibrant, but it's also about these personal characteristics of how you believe in yourself and the leadership skills that you develop over time, working in teams big and small, and having the courage, in some cases, to step out and be an entrepreneur.
And remember your own journey to get here. Like, I think people might know I used to be the chair of this organization. When we started High Tech, Yvonne was there. We had less than 20 people around a table. And this right here, this isn't, I know the room was much fuller than this, and probably then some. If you go to this, there's thousands of people now as part of this organization. It's like you start with the back of a napkin, and then you go, why not me? Why not us? Why can't we do it? We have a journey. We know how we got here.
It's a great question.
How do we pull up the next one, and the next one, and the next one?
You know, Bertina, if I could add something to, you know, a framework that I do when I communicate with people around this mindset is I oftentimes talk about Mustangs versus ponies. And so I want Mustangs on my team. And Mustangs, the challenge with Mustangs is that they will break glass. You know, they're gonna get stuff done, but you have to give them left and right boundaries. What I don't want is ponies, right? Because if a Mustang, I pretty much just kind of give them a direction and say go, and they go, right? And every once in a while, you have to, like I used to tell my leadership when I was in the military, I said, you may have to say, whoa, horsey, but you will never have to say giddy up, right? I mean, so I don't need you to tell me what to do. I'm gonna go, right? So you give them very little direction. A pony, on the other hand, you have to bring them along. Come here, little pony. And then now I'm doing your job and my job. And if I have to do your job and my job, then when it comes time for cuts, you're going to be gone, right? So what we have in this room is we have Mustangs. We have people that you have to be able to thrive. If you want to make sure that you're always in demand, you have to be able to be one of those people that can thrive with very little guidance. You don't need to be the person that's constantly asking your boss, I need you to tell me what to do. I need you to tell me what to do.
Figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, so you have to run with it with very little guidance, make it happen, and then come back and let your boss know what you did. And when you show them constantly all the things that we've done, oh, wait a minute, you're not asking permission? No, we already did this. What? Then they'll be blown away, and you will always be in demand.
There's only one thing I would say is, like, I'm from Denver, so go Broncos.
We're going to open it up to a couple of questions in a moment, but we're going to do just a lightning round to return to tech just for a moment. But if you had to identify one or two tech skills today that you would encourage everybody to double down on, what would that be? Rick, we'll start with you.
I would say when G grew up in this field, and I grew up in this field, networking or network engineering was a thing, right? We were building the internet. I would say that the same thing is happening now with data engineering or data architecture. So you want to be data literate, not data illiterate. So you want to make sure that you understand where your data is stored, at least understand the framework around data. Common ontologies, what it takes to clean up data, how are you going to use your data, what a data strategy is. You have to be conversant in the world of data, because everything that we're talking about with AGI, with Gen AI and et cetera, it's all foundational on the data. So become data literate. That will help you in the long term.
Thank you. Solveig.
For me, I would recommend AI. Do not be afraid of AI. Learn the prompts, learn how to use it to your favor, and learn how to take advantage of it. I think a lot of us are a little afraid of, oh, it will take my job. It could make your job easier too. I use it all the time. I use it as a helpful tool, not as the only thing that I use every day. So don't be afraid of AI. Use it to your advantage and make the best of it. If it takes your job, then maybe AI could help you create another job. So don't be afraid.
Solveig, that's great advice for me. Guillermo.
Well, first of all, I say get AI literate. You could come to 𝐶onectado and do that. Well, we can help you with that. But yes, AI. But think about what AI is. It's really a combination of what Rick was saying. AI is data and math. That's what it is. Data and algorithms. That's what AI is. So understanding that and then using the tools, just get on the tools, just start using them, but use them if, you can use them for your personal, stuff, but also think about it as it applies to your business. What are your workflows? What is the thing that what's the problem that you're most trying to solve? And then go, what are the steps and the tasks and the resources that I do today that if I took this data and math, that I could eliminate my job. Because if you can do that, if they decide that your jobs are gone, guess what? You just created your new job. Wherever you want to go, you've just created more demand for you.
And that's why you can do so much with 10 people.
So much. Hey, I didn't know, how to be a gamer. Now I'm built a game, right?
We want to open it up for questions. We've got wisdom, experience, great enlightenment with these three individuals on the stage, and I know that they would welcome your questions.
Hi, so we talked a lot about during this conference about having a growth mindset, and you guys have shared some wisdom throughout about, having a centered locus of control, bringing your authentic self, and having mentors. So I just want to ask, as you're thinking about the next evolution of yourselves and your leadership, what's a skill that you're trying to grow personally?
Go ahead.
For me, I am trying to grow more of my cybersecurity skills, but I also want to I want to keep bringing more my best self to work, my authentic self to work. It's I want to get my boss's job, so I want to build the courage to tell her, like, hey, I want to get there, but working on those skills to actually ask for that job is what I'm working on. So more cybersecurity skills, more risk assessments and things like that.
Thank you.
What I'm working on, and hopefully my AI agent, 𝐸 can help me manage my time better. And I mean, my wife's sitting in the front row, so how to say no. Can my agent help me say no to the things that come my way? And it's hard because it's like the thing that I worked on my whole life is how do I get to that next thing? It's always like we were talking earlier. It's like, why not me? Like, why? They asked me, what would your Newsweek article title be? And 10 years ago it was why not me? Today is why not me? 10 years from now it's why not me? And it's like, but the key thing is how do we enable this room to say that?
Yeah.
How do we enable the 5.2, and I'm going to be just unapologetic here. I know that, well, don't say Latino, don't say Latinx, don't say that. It's like, no, I'm going to say it because there's 622 Hispanic serving institutions that need our help. Of that, there's 7.2 million students that go to those Hispanic serving institutions that need this kind of room to show them the way and show them, be the North Star. So I would just say, you know, my hope is that I can help you all be a North Star.
Great. Thank you, G.
Yeah.
And I'll just say very quickly, I know we may be short on time. So I'm involved with a lot of things. So I'm always working on how I learn, meaning since I'm always learning and trying to evolve in different areas, I'm always working on how I can enhance that learning to continue to digest. I'm an autodidact, so I basically, if there's anything I want to learn, I teach myself. But I'm always learning on how to learn better and how to process faster. That's why AI is such an important tool, and we can get more done, you know, in a short amount of time.
Thank you. I know our clock says that we have run out of time, and I apologize that we haven't gotten to more
But we have lines of people.
But I know our panelists will be here for a little while longer, and hopefully you'll be able to stick around for a little bit and answer a few more questions, because I know our organizers want to move on to the next really great and inspiring conversation. But thank you very much, and thank you so much for being with us.
We're going to get a picture.